Hello everyone, I'm Sally and welcome to today's Atta webinar. This afternoon I have Marc Reading joining me, who is the UK representative for the Wellworth Collection in Tanzania, and he is going to be talking to you about their hotels, lodges, resorts and camps today. Just a couple of things before we begin. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A box on your screen where you can type any questions. I will then field these to Marc at the end. A recording of the webinar will also be sent out to everyone who has registered afterwards. So if you miss anything, please don't worry. So without further ado, I will hand over to Marc.
Hi Sally, thanks very much. Good afternoon everyone. Firstly, for the people that registered to the previous webinar when we had the technical fault, I'm sorry that we couldn't get it going. Welcome back. And for the people who are joining us for the first time, thanks very much for joining us. This afternoon I shall be giving you a walkthrough of the Wellworth Collection, what we do within Tanzania and what our plans in Tanzania are going to be. So a little bit of history about the Wellworth Collection. Wellworth is a 100% Tanzanian-owned business. It's run by the Ismail family, and Wellworth started life in 2005 when Ghulam Ismail, the patriarch of the family, bought the Kunduchi Beach Hotel. That was the first property that Wellworth opened in 2005, and a little bit more about that later on. As far as Wellworth goes, what we like to say is we're redefining African hospitality. When I say we're redefining African hospitality, everything that Wellworth does is based around Tanzania and around the family. So we, in many respects, build the properties or the camps ourselves. We run the camps ourselves. We try and employ as many local Tanzanians as possible. And what we want to really do is to give a world-class hospitality experience coupled with the great friendliness of Tanzania. So the properties, at the moment, we have 9 properties that are open. If you look at the map, they're in green. And there are 6 properties currently under construction. As I said, in 2005, our first property opened at Kunduchi Beach down in Dar es Salaam. And then really from 2014 onwards saw the growth of the Wellworth Collection. And I think we can probably say that we are East Africa's largest and fastest growing hospitality group at the moment. So if you look at the map there, you can see that Wellworth are strategically positioned in 2 major national parks, Serengeti and Tarangire. We have beach resorts, and we also have new properties coming up in Ngorongoro. So the philosophy behind Wellworth is to provide our international clients with a very easy to use circuit of properties within the country and within all those major areas. So the green properties are the ones that are open, and they range from tented camps, beach resorts and lodges. The red properties are the ones that are currently under construction, and most of those will be open by 2019 or the middle of back end of 2020. So a little bit about us. As you know, we're members of Atta and all the organisations that are key to be if you're going to play in the African hospitality business. We divide ourselves into 3 distinctive segments: luxury collection lodges. So we have currently lodges in Palatial, Lake Manyara, and soon through the Serengeti National Park. We have our luxury collection camps in the Serengeti and Tarangire, and beach resorts and destinations in Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar. Wellworth Collection lodges. So as I said, we started in 2005. The first lodge that we opened was in 2014 in Ngorongoro. We have Lake Manyara Kilimanjaro, and our flagship lodge that will be open the last quarter of 2019, Serengeti Lake and Garden. The lodges themselves, I think from a personal point of view, Oldiani and Kilimanjaro work out perfectly if you've got clients that are staying, starting their trips in Arusha, doing the normal land transfer into Serengeti, You can use Obiani going in, or Kilimanjaro going in, and one of them coming out again. So you've got a nice lodge at the beginning, at the end of your trip. So to look at each lodge individually, Obiani is very colonial. It's a 5-star property. It's the gateway to Ngorongoro. It's on the crater rim. Fantastic views over Lake Manyara. 34 double rooms. A pretty straightforward drive, 130 kilometers from Arusha, and very close to the Ngorongoro Crater Gate, 9 kilometers away. Kilimanjaro is on the Rift Valley overlooking Lake Manyara. Beautifully positioned lodge, pristine and very verdant grounds, and one of the great places for birding in the area. Again, what I'd like to say about all the Wellworth properties is that they have very easy access to landing strips. So for Manyara Airport, we're only 7 kilometers away, so that if you've got clients that are flying in on the fly-in circuit, very easy to get to both of those lodges, and we can do transfers to and from the properties. And I'm not going to go through each lodge individually, but what I want to do is to show you the style of lodge that we're in. When we say redefining African hospitality, these lodges are built to a really high standard, 5-star spec. As you can see there, we've got this theme of an opulent kind of colonialism going on. All the lodges have, or all the rooms in the lodges have full ensuite bathrooms, indoor and outdoor showers. We pride ourselves on a fine dining experience, whether that's in the lodge or in the bush camps. Our cuisine is to a very high standard, and the decor in all the lodges also to a very high standard. So redefining that hospitality experience is really taking the best of what the rest of the world and European standards offer and bringing them down to Africa and putting that nice African twist on them. Again, some shots of various rooms within the lodges. We pride ourselves in offering big open spaces, so nice verandas, sliding doors that open out, so you can really bring the bush into the lodge themselves. We have a very strong social responsibility program. The ladies and the gentlemen that you can see there at Obiani Mountain Lodge, one of the things that we do there is that every guest that arrives, we like to encourage them to plant a sapling. We have a nursery on the lodge property, and so we're rewilding that whole area. The third of the lodges, which is the newest lodge coming up, is Serengeti Lake Magadi. It's the first lodge that we've got that is actually built within the Serengeti National Park. It's on a kopje overlooking Lake Magadi. Again, 45 doubles, 15 twins, and again, I'd like to emphasize that all the properties within the Wellworth Collection have good access to airstrips. So we're at 39 kilometers from Serenera airstrip. I was on site at the end of last year. It is a bit of a building site at the moment, but as I say, hopefully back end of this year we'll be open and running. These are some artists' impressions of what the main building, the bottom image shows the main building, dining area, and then the top right hand side gives you a really good idea of what we're trying to achieve as far as the actual lodge buildings themselves. The architecture is very sympathetic to the area. We've tried to tuck as much as possible into the surrounding countryside, and we're definitely not trying to be obtrusive in any way. So as far as the lodges go, 3 lodges work for small groups, bigger groups, or for FIT travelers that don't necessarily want to have a tented camp experience. There are definitely some people out there that don't feel comfortable in tented camps, and some people that don't really understand what a tented camp is, which brings me quite nicely onto the tented camp collection. 4 tented camps, all under the Old Sarai luxury camp brand: Moro Poppies, Turner Springs, Serenera, and the recently opened Pogatenga camp. So Moro Poppies, probably one of my favorite spots, 25 kilometers from the Serenera airstrip. The migration pass is very close to the camp itself. It's in a lovely area, and as I said, one of my favorites. Turner Springs, the closest to Serenera. Again, Turner Springs has got a fantastic history itself that you can look up and read about. very easy to get to. And I think one of the nice points about Turner Springs is it's got a real good water catchment area around it. So there's pretty much game there all the year round. Also, Serengeti is in the Makoma Hills and overlooks the Makoma Plains. All the camps that we have in the property or in the collection all have a family unit. So there are 2 tents with interleading. So again, I think if you've got families or multi-generation guests that are looking for a tented camp experience, then we can definitely provide that from the Wellworth Collection. And last but not least, up in the north is our newly opened Kogatenda camp. Kogatenda is a fantastic area for game viewing. It's great for the northern part of the migration. And again, 1.5 kilometers from the Kogatenda airstrip, which makes it really easy to get to and from. So if you look at the map of the tented camp locations in the Serengeti, Ngorongoro Conservation Area, Turner Springs and the southern Serengeti, and then up north in Kogatenda, and then the one camp that I haven't mentioned as yet, which is coming up later in the year, is the Old Sarai Kuru camp, which is going to be our first luxury tented camp in the Tarangire National Park. So all in all, 5 fantastic luxury tented camps. When we talk about tented camps, the one thing that really sets Wellworth aside is that the camps themselves, the tents, if you look at them, each tent or each camp has had their tents custom made. So they're not out of the box tents, they are specifically designed. Each tented camp has got a different layout. So if your guests are hopefully traveling on the Wellworth circuit with us, they're not going to be in the same style tent in each of the camps. What we've done with the tented camps, as you can see, is they're all built up on platforms, so they're raised up. We've tried to keep that real opulent style right the way through all the tented camps, which started off in the lodges themselves. So if you have got guests that are doing a lodge and tented camp circuit with us, they really do feel at home. And again, even if you're staying in one of the tented camps, as you can see there, the fine dining for us is a very important part of the whole Wellworth experience. So tented camps to the highest standard, all individually designed tents, something with a little bit of a difference, so they're not the normal bog standard walk-in merry tents. The final sort of part of the jigsaw for the Wellworth Collection are the beach resorts. At the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned Kunduchi Beach, the flagship property that Wellworth started back in 2005. Kunduchi Beach, as we speak, is closed down. It's going through a complete structural and soft furnishing refurbishment. And the idea is that Kunduchi Beach Resort will once again become the flagship of the Wellworth Collection. There's huge amounts of potential for it. It's in a really nice area, and we're really looking forward to getting Kunduchi Beach back online and up running again later in the year. One of the plans that the chairman did mention to me was the possibility of putting an airstrip into the back of Kunduchi, which means that clients could fly into Dar Airport. Anyone that's been to Dar es Salaam knows the huge traffic problems to get from the airport into the beach or into town itself. But if we can negate that and fly clients straight into Kunduchi Beach and then connect them out of Kunduchi to the Serengeti and the other areas that we operate in, well, I think that will give us an even stronger circuit. So Kunduchi Beach, as we sit at the moment, 20 kilometers from the city centre, and going a huge refurbishment. But again, a beautiful property sitting right on the Indian Ocean itself. Our second of our beach resorts is Zanzibar Beach Hotel. It's the closest hotel to Zanzibar Airport. It's very convenient for guests that want to go into Stone Town. So if you don't want to go into a typical beach resort and you want to be closer to Stone Town and all the amenities that you've got near the airport, then I think Zanzibar Beach Hotel would definitely work for you. So as I say, 5 minutes from the airport and 7 minutes from Stone Town itself. Just to give you an idea of what we offer there at Zanzibar Beach, one of the nicest pools, I think, on the island, and just a very nice environment. So if you want to stay close to the airport, then that's probably the best bet for you. Wellworth Collection up and coming properties. We have 3 properties coming online. Also our luxury Camp Kuru, which I've mentioned already, down in Tanzania, Ngorongoro Lake Masek Lodge, and Zanzibar Whispering Palms. Whispering Palms I'm personally very excited about, because I think the combination of the beach and bush is something that really sells well. And I think the Whispering Palms, when it comes online in 2020, will really give us a really good, solid beach property or island property that sells well with the rest of the circuit. As far as the experiences that you get with Wellworth, obviously Serengeti is well known to everyone that's, or hopefully well known to everyone that's listening in on this webinar. When you're staying at the properties within the lodges, whether you're using a DMC to come in by yourself, or you're brought in by a DMC, or you're flying in, we can provide your clients with all the activities that they need to do or they would expect whilst in the Serengeti. So walks, open air, open vehicle game drives. We can arrange balloon safaris. As I say, that the lodges themselves are all so strategically placed that a lot of the time you've got parts of the migration coming past you. They're in really good game viewing areas. So as you can see, without having to leave the lodge, you're getting a really nice game experience. And yeah, I think that we have a really good, strong tented camp portfolio. So that, in a nutshell, gives you a quick look around what we do as a group. I'm sure you're going to have lots of questions. One thing that always comes up is rates. I'm more than happy to get rates out to you and to discuss rates if you need them. If there's something that you would like from me, please feel free to drop me an email. When the webinar is over, I'll be putting my details on there. My colleague in Germany, Ingo Jacobs from TC International, looks after the German and the continental European market. So again, please feel free to contact either of us if there are any further questions that you've got. So all I'd like to do is say thank you on behalf of all of us at the Wellworth Collection in Tanzania. We really value your business. As I said, Wellworth is quite new, growing rapidly, and I think fulfilling a niche in the market for both lodges and tented camps in Tanzania, run by Tanzanians, and we hope to welcome you later in the year and to see your clients with us.
Thank you so much, Marc. As Marc mentioned, I will include his email address on the webinar recording, which is being sent out to all of you afterwards. So if you have any questions after this, please feel free to drop them a line. In the meantime, if anyone has any pressing questions, please type them into the Q&A box and I'll fill those to Marc now. I can't see any questions coming through just yet, so we'll wait a couple more moments. I can see one from Simon Ball. I'm assuming that you have drive-in rates and full game package rates, sorry.
Hi, yeah, hi Simon, yes. So basically the way that the rates are structured, the rates are structured in 3 ways. We have a drive-in rate, which is a rate that if you're using a normal DMC that has got their own vehicle, it's just a drive-in full board rate. You can then put on 2 bolt-in sections. One is an upgrade to a fully inclusive package, which is for wines and spirits. Or if you've got fly-ins, you can bolt on a game drive package. So that's the kind of the basic rate. The other rates that we offer are rates that are based around the circuits. So, for example, the circuit rates, if you use both Kilimanjaro and Ngorongoro Crater Lodge going in and out, and with a combination of 3, 5, or 9 nights at any of the tented camps, the rates actually become more attractive for the more properties and prices that you use. So I think my advice would be definitely to have a look at the package rates. But yes, we have driving rates and 4-day package rates, and we will get those through to you.
Thanks, Mark. I don't think we have any more questions for now. If anyone thinks of any afterwards, as I said, please feel free to get in touch with Mark. Otherwise, thank you all so much for attending, and thanks again, Mark.
Thanks very much, Sally, and thanks everyone for your support, and we hope to see you in Tanzania and your clients.